going. Today's video is going to be a makeup tutorial on this sort of spring glam makeup look that we have going on right here. I'm so into the trend that's happening right now of like the overall monochromatic peaches and pinks and nudes and nectars and all that good stuff. I think that it is just super flattering and pretty and just so perfect for the springtime because I just love the spring so much. It's so fresh and enjoyable. And yes, I think that makeup looks that match that fresh enjoyableness are just perfect. So I think we should just jump on into the tutorial. Alright, so I've already put on the L'Oreal Hydro Genius as kind of like a moisturizer and primer in one. And then for foundation, I'm going to be using my Maybelline Matte and Poreless. This is a foundation that I have loved for many, many years, and it actually does give a very nice kind of like full coverage matte finish to the skin. And when I'm having skin issues like I am right now, I like to be using more of like a matte foundation. I just find it's easier to cover those things up. I am self-tanned right now. Do I look tanned? Orange, kind of? That's okay. But I will be starting off with the shade 115, and then I'll mix some of 220 Natural Beige in there as well, so that we get like a nice kind of matching, hopefully, type of shade. So I'm going to just give this a little shake. And I wish I had like a palette or something to put this on, but I don't. So I'm just going to put a little bit on the back of my hand. I wish that these foundations came with a pump. I feel like I would use this so much more if I wasn't always like pouring it out. It's just not that convenient. And so that is what the shade 115 looks like. Just for reference, you can see there I took mostly 115 just with a touch of that Natural Beige. So I think that's actually pretty good. I might just take a touch more of the dark shade just to make sure that we aren't looking too pale. But then at that point, once we have bronzer and all that stuff on, it'll all just blend in and look fine, I hope. You know, no promises, guys. A little bit weird today, guys. This is like, this foundation, this 220, is very olivey, so that's all I'm going to take. And then just using this L'Oreal sponge, I am going to get that all pounced on in. And then for my under eye area, I'm going to take the NYX Gotcha Covered Concealer. And I just like to take this actually directly out of the tube just for convenience sake. Put a little bit like that. A little bit of this stuff goes such a long ways. It's super, super creamy. I would definitely recommend setting this guy with a powder. So I'm just going to start off by using my fingers to kind of pat that in. And then I am going to actually take whatever is remaining and put that on the areas where, you know, I have some friends hanging out that I just don't enjoy. My sister told me the funniest thing. She was like, whenever I'm getting a pimple, I tell my husband that it's made a reservation. Oh yeah, my pimple's just made a reservation. He's gonna be here tomorrow. Like, cause you know you can feel it coming on. So, I don't know, I don't think I said that right, but it was funny. Okay, just going to blend this in. I'm going to set that under eye area with the Dermablend Loose Setting Powder. This is a translucent setting powder. It is my favorite. I absolutely love it. And I'm just going to press a little bit of that into this area. And I'm going to actually let this one bake just for a second while I'm doing like both eyes. You can see here that it starts off as kind of that like white powdery finish. And then when you brush it off, it all completely goes away. So I'm just going to let that sit for one moment while I'm actually just looking for the brush to wipe it off with. This foundation doesn't really require setting, but since I do need some extra coverage and I'm just feeling a little bit self-conscious of my skin right now, guys, I'm going to be taking this Urban Decay Naked Skin Ultra Definition Powder Foundation. You can see this is very well loved, but I really just I like this because it doesn't add, it adds coverage without looking too heavy. So I am just going to really kind of pat. I don't like to swirl this on at all. I just like to pat it in the areas where I want some extra coverage and to make sure that foundation and concealer stays in place. And I like this particular shade for when I'm self-tanned. This is called Light Warm. Moving along to bronzer, I'm going to be taking this Lancome bronzer, which I have been using just so much. Like, I've used this in every single video over the past little while. I just really like it. I just like the shade, and I think that it gives a very like natural bronze look, but still, you know, shows up nicely on the skin in not an orange or too ashy way. I just like it in general. This is in the shade Sunswept, and I am just going to you guys just hear the birdies? For blush, I'm going to be using the Master Blush Palette from Maybelline. I am going to just take this peachy shade and put that onto my cheeks. Oh, I forgot these are quite pigmented. Not to worry. Gonna just put that on there and then kind of tone it down with this powder brush. I'm also going to use the highlight for my cheekbones from the same palette. I love that it has a little bit of like a peachy pink undertone to it. For my brows, I'm going to be using this cool pencil from NYX. This is like a 3-in-1 brow pencil. Mine is in the shade Brunette. It's a 3-in-1 because there is on this end a nice little like pencil. On the middle area, when you open this part up, there is like a powdery type of fill-in product. And then on the opposite end, there is this guy, which is like a brow kind of setting gel that is tinted. I just think this product is so cool. I've been using it a lot. So I like to start off with the pencil part and just go into the middle of my brow and start filling that in. The one thing I will say about this is, since there are 3 products, I don't normally use 3 brow products, I just use one basically. It's very easy to let your brows get pretty like intense quickly. So just keep that in mind, like go in with light layers with each product, because I have definitely gone overboard with this guy. And I like to mainly use this pencil, and I love NYX brow products in general. So this is very similar to their micro brow pencil formula if you are familiar with that one. So I am just filling this in. And then I'm actually going to skip that like powder portion because, like I said, I don't want my eyebrows to look like overdone or too intense. Ever since I lightened my hair a little bit too, I think that this shade might be just like a little bit dark for me. So I am going to take the little tinted brow gel though and just kind of focus this on the outer half of my brow. Yeah, I think that product is really cool. I think it's a very cool concept. Moving along to eyeshadow. I'm so excited to be using this product here from L'Oreal. But to start off, for a nice little base, I'm going to go into my, oh, that is a very large mirror. I'm going to go into my Urban Decay Ultimate, ooh, let's zoom you in. Okay, so using my Urban Decay Ultimate Naked, what is this? Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics palette, I'm going to just make a nice little base with this kind of like yellowy vanilla shade. Alright, for my crease color, I am going to be taking this kind of like grayish taupe shade, and I'm going to mix it over here. These are the shades Tempted and Faith. And then just because orangey tones are so complementary with purple, I am going to take a little bit of Instinct, which is this kind of like mauvey purpley shade. And I'm gonna add a little bit of that in there as well, just lightly, but I think it'll be very kind of, you know, it'll just bring out that orange even more so. I'm also going to put a little bit of the same blush in my crease. One of my lovely subscribers mentioned this in my last video because I was saying how I like to use bronzer in my crease. She said, oh, I like to put a little bit of blush in my crease as well. So I definitely want to do that. Thank you for that tip. I am going to just go back into here, and I'm just going to focus this slightly above that first transition shade, just ever so subtly. Like, this is not going to be barely noticeable. This is going to be barely noticeable. But I think that that is such a nice idea, and I have been doing that the past little while, ever since that was suggested, so thank you. Now for the exciting part. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Paints eyeshadow. This is a liquid eyeshadow, and I think that this is such a cool product. It's so innovative. So this one is in the shade Sunset Fire, and I'm going to start off with this nice kind of corally orange shade, and right from the applicator, I'm going to put this on my eyes, but I'm going to really focus it closer to my lash line. Like, how cool is this color, you guys? Like, it is so bright. It's so cool. I'm going to take this little kind of like flat shader brush, and I am just going to start moving this all along my lid space. And not to worry, we're going to be going back over. This is just getting the initial color down. So this has completely dried down now, which I just think is so cool. You don't need to set these with a powder. They just stay in place because they completely, it's almost like a liquid lipstick for your eyes, which is a very interesting concept. But what I'm going to do now that I have that initial color laid down, and don't worry if you have some like in your eyelashes, we're gonna go in with mascara, and I'm actually gonna even put on some false lashes, which I have not done in quite some time. But yeah, so don't worry about that. It's actually really hard to avoid getting in your lashes, to be honest. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little small kind of blending brush, and I'm going to go back to that Ultimate Basics palette and go back into this Faith color, and I'm just going to start off by going directly where those colors meet, just to kind of blend them in a little bit, and then directly in that crease area, just sticking with the same brush, I'm going to go into Extra Bitter, this like orangey shade, this kind of like rusty orangey topper shade, and I'm going to put that directly in the crease area, and that it really just ties the entire look together. I am also going to take some of that Extra Bitter color mixed with Faith again and just put that on my lower lash line. And then just to kind of brighten up the look and not make it look so, like I want this to still be nice and springy, I'm going to go onto the other side of the liquid eyeshadow here. This is like a light peachy champagne shade. It is so beautiful. I have been using this one on its own as well. And I'm going to actually just take a little bit of it on my middle finger here. I'm not trying to flip y'all off. And I'm actually just going to allow that to kind of like dry down on my finger for a moment, and then I'm going to pat it directly in the center of my eyelid. I'm going to go back into that same highlighting shade that we used and just press that directly on the middle there again. And using a little clean blending brush or a pencil brush, I guess, I am just going to pat around the edges to make sure it is all blended in. I'm going to quickly pop a little bit of that highlighting shade on my inner corners as well. I am going to put on a little bit of mascara just to cover up any of those lash areas that got some of the liquid eyeshadow, and I'm going to pop on some false lashes, and I will be right back. Okay, false lashes are on, and I also put some mascara on at the bottom lash line, and I really like the way this turned out. I think that it's super springy and fresh. This is the Maybelline Color Show Lip Crayon in the shade 420. It is just like the most beautiful coral shade, so I want to show you how cool it looks to kind of have that like trendy monochromatic look right now. Alright you guys, that wraps up today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed seeing this sort of like spring glam peachy pink type of look. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and for subscribing and liking and leaving comments. You guys are so awesome. It means so much to me. I hope you guys are all having such a great start to the month of April, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!